This is Dr. Mariah White, host of Your Life Matters. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Liz Colburn, host of The Morning Uplift here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you are done with this episode, I hope you'll come back and check out my show, The Morning Uplift, where we talk about finding your beauty in the journey. A new show comes out twice a month on the first and third Mondays. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of The Morning Uplift. Thank you again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hello, happy Tuesday, welcome, and thank you for joining the Confessions of a Military Spouse podcast. I am your host, Jenna Burt. I am a military spouse of almost 10 years, a health and fitness enthusiast, a mom, and a dental assistant. If you are a new listener, I just want to extend a very warm welcome to you and thank you for joining. And if you are an avid listener that listens bi-weekly, thank you for your continued support. If you guys find that today's episode speaks to you, or you have a great takeaway from it, or you know someone that could benefit from hearing this episode, I highly encourage you to share it. Also, I so greatly appreciate any and all feedback. So if you would like to leave some feedback, please feel free to email me at confessionsofamilspouse@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Confessions of a Military Spouse, or you can reach out to me via publichousemedia.org. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about just surviving. And chances are you are wondering, what the heck does that even mean? So let's go ahead and dive right in. So this episode is going to be short and sweet, but I think it's going to provide a very important message that all spouses at some point throughout their spouse's career will need to hear. And maybe it's not even just spouses that need to hear this. Maybe it's everybody else. So I want to start with giving you a little background as to what even sparked this episode and quote unquote brought this episode to life. So a few weeks ago, I was feeling really down and just stuck in a rut. And to be honest, I think it was the fact that we're very close to a pivotal point in our deployment and the quote unquote newness of this deployment, as in finding a new routine and making a new normal and being this quote unquote single parent now and finding my way on my own and all of those things that just come along with a deployment. I think all of that had worn off and it was starting to hit the very monotonous point of deployment. And any of my fellow spouses that are listening to this podcast that have gone through a deployment, I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And for those of you that maybe have not experienced a deployment or don't necessarily know what I'm talking about, I'm just going to tell you that there comes a point within a deployment, especially if it's a longer one, where you just start to hit a huge wall and everything just really starts to become monotonous and it really starts to wear on you. And I, for whatever reason, I think that I was just going through this down phase and I was literally just surviving at that point. And I was going through the motions of my day-to-day life and I kind of felt like a zombie. So there were really no high points to my day, but there were also no low points either. So I don't think that I was going through a depression or anything. I really just think it was that monotonous phase of deployment starting to set in. But it was just this very basic monotonous line. And then I realized, like I said, that I was just surviving. And then the more I realized and thought about the fact that I was just surviving, the worse I kind of felt about it. My daughter was fed, I was fed, we both have clothes, we have a roof over our head, we have great family, great friends, etc. All of these things. but I still just felt like I was surviving. And then one day I had a conversation with another spouse, and I was telling them how I was feeling because, like I said, most spouses that have gone through a deployment have gone through this stage or phase at some point throughout their deployment and understand what I was going through. And that's kind of when the light bulb went off for me and why I wanted to share this with you guys. So this spouse stopped me when I was telling them how I was just living to survive at this point. And literally the only word that they had to say was, "So?" with a question mark. And it kind of stopped me dead in my tracks. And it really got me thinking and questioning why it was such a bad thing that I was just surviving. And the answer to that question that I found is nothing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with just living to survive. I mean, as long as it's not a continuous thing that happens every day and ends up going further into something more. And that's the point of this podcast, of this episode. I see you struggling. And whether you're a spouse whose significant other is on deployment, you're a single mom, you're a spouse to someone who works crazy hours and you stay at home with your kids and they're sick, you're a full-time working mom with no help, whatever the situation is, I see you, friend. And I want you to know, first of all, that you are not alone. Obviously, I have gone through this, which means somebody else has gone through it too. And I also want you to know that when you're going through this, you're still enough. You're more than enough. And if you're just living to survive at this moment or season in your life, I want you to know that that's okay. I feel like we put so much pressure and stress on ourselves to be this perfect mom, this perfect spouse, friend, daughter, sister, etc. And to be quite honest, it is utterly exhausting. We as women are amazing people. And we can do a hell of a lot of things. But one thing that we just cannot do is do it all. And we ourselves need to be okay with it. But so does everybody else. So the next time that you're struggling and living just to survive, I want you to know that it's okay. Know that the laundry can wait. The dishes are still going to be there. And as long as the basic survival needs are being met, nothing else needs to be done. Today, tomorrow, next week. Now, I'm not saying that you need to totally negate all of life's essentials forever. But what I am saying is that you should never feel bad for doing what you need to do simply to survive sometimes. And if surviving means your kid eats chicken nuggets for 3 nights in a row, then so be it. They're being fed still, right? If it means that you're digging through the laundry basket of clean clothes or the spare bedroom bed for something to wear, well, at least you have clean clothes. Or maybe you're wearing the same pair of yoga pants that you've worn for the last 3 days. You know what? Who cares? Who freaking cares? Maybe it means having an extra glass or 2 of wine after the kids go to bed. Girlfriend, drink that wine. Just drink it. Whatever it is that you need to do just to survive, then do just that. And know the world will continue to spin on its axis until you can take it over again. I hope that you have a fantastic Tuesday. And please do not forget to subscribe on all of your favorite podcast listening apps so you never miss an episode. Thank you for being here again with me. I so greatly appreciate it. I really hope this episode delivered that powerful message to you.